Kaveh was born into a classic scholarly family in Sumeru. His father was from the Vatara Darshan and once worked at the academia, while his mother had graduated from Kasharawar, and much as he would become later in life, she too was a famous architect. Influenced by them, Kaveh was interested in architectural design from a young age. They would sit in the living room as he sat at home, playing with the block puzzles they had bought for him. Theirs was a home in which words were not necessary, and Kaveh would gain his understanding of home from this time. However, their blissful days were not to last. Some time before he joined the academia, his father would, at his encouragement, join the Inter-Darshan Championship. The competition itself was not a complicated affair, but his father, who became a favorite to win, would miss becoming champion by a hair, and then proceeded to go missing for a time afterward. Soon the bad news came. His father had perished in an accident in the desert. The suddenness of this misfortune threw mother and son into disarray. His mother was hit particularly hard. Being a sensitive soul by nature, her husband's passing would cause her to break down, spending much time in anxious, gloomy thought. As for Kaveh, he would see his father's laugh and promise to bring something nice back for him as he walked out the door every time he closed his eyes to sleep. Young Kaveh thought that had he not said anything, his father might not have taken part in the contest, and he would not have gone missing afterward and finally perished as a result. But no matter how hard he begged, the past could not be changed. His father's death, his mother's agony, all these things that could no longer be taken back were on the account of a single thing he had said. From that day forward, he would live under the shadow of that guilt. His mother would say that her husband was a man with a good heart, and that life at such a person's side made her happy. Indeed, after his passing, she would never again smile. Home went from a sanctuary of warmth and light to a cold and lonely hall. Kaveh would often find his mother sitting on the sofa, staring at her trembling hands in silence. She could neither draw anything at all, nor even conceive of a design in her mind. Each time this happened, Kaveh would feel like a giant hand was crushing him to the ground, and he would question himself, were it not for me, would the family have ended up like this? At this time, he was still young and could do very little. Out of guilt, he would do his best to keep his mother company, and he would never wear a disappointed face around her, trying to support her in any way he could, even if such was but a drop in the bucket. It was amidst this chaos that Kaveh would reach schooling age, and, having passed the entrance exams, enroll into Kasharawar. During this time, he would inevitably spend less time with his mother. She would thus travel to Fontaine to ease her soul a little. There, she would receive a job offer, and upon returning to Sumeru, she informed Kaveh of the good news. Kaveh knew that this would leave him to live alone, but still he agreed, and even saw his mother off on the day she departed. He would continue to look on even after his ship had long left the harbor. He would deeply miss her, but he knew that it was best that she left the place that had come to represent so much pain for her. For her sake, Kaveh would never admit that he was lonely. He assured her that he was all grown up now and could live independently, and if he should be kept awake at night by loneliness, pain, or memories of their now broken family, why, it was his just deserts for egging his father on to take part in the competition. One guilty of harming his parents so deeply deserved all that came to them, and so he must live on bearing that brand. Given that such thoughts have been his constant companions since, one could say that home taught Kaveh how to care, and also utterly purged him of the ability to knowingly harm another person. In the many years afterward, he would remain trapped by his personality and ideals, desiring to help any and all who asked it of him, and unable to truly oppose any, even if he wished to try and resist on some matters. Despite the good he often does, his guilt remains. More than this, he cannot accept pure goodwill, for when he makes choices, he believes that he should be punished, and finds some comfort in the pain. If Kaveh were a sculpture, he would be one that appeared all but flawless, but which would suffer utter destruction if the weak point at its core were to be found.